Hey there, my name is Cindy and this is Snacks and Stacks. I like to talk about books, TV shows, and movies, and today we're going to talk about underrated fantasy books. I have a mix here of middle grade, young adult, and adult, and from high fantasy to political, and yeah, we'll just get into it. The first series I want to talk about is the Queens of Renthia series. Now, Sarah Beth Durst, we may know her from The Spell Shop, which I have. One second. So we know her from The Spell Shop, and then her new release is The Enchanted Greenhouse, and she's a wonderful, cozy fantasy writer. But did you know that she has a high fantasy series, and they just recently got new covers that are very cool. I haven't bought them yet because I'm not sure if I like the old covers better or the new ones better. I think I actually like the old covers better, and I haven't been able to get my hands on those used, so I have been looking for them. I might just have to order them from Pango or something. But anyways, the Queens of Renthia series is based on this magic system where there are these spirits, and they are inherently there to create and destroy. And because of this, they also have a huge disdain for humans because we tend to destroy many things in order to create things that work for us, but not necessarily for nature. Because of this, the spirits do tend to attack humans, and luckily, we have queens who are women who have this magical ability to kind of enter the spirits' minds and control them. Because of this, we very much have to train these queens, and they're also there's like a main queen, and then there's all these kind of heirs waiting to become queen, and they also go out and help communities when there are spirit attacks. This is a trilogy. The first book follows a character that kind of introduces you to the world. The first book is actually my favorite because she grows up, it's very fast paced, but she kind of goes to school to become an heir, and some crazy stuff happens, but she's my favorite character in the trilogy. In the second and third books, we do follow more and different characters, and in the second and third book, I want to say the main characters of those two books is actually a mother figure, and I wish I liked those books just a bit more, but there's stuff. Anyways, I'm not gonna get into that. But a lot of people really, really love the second and third books and how the main character is a middle-aged mother, and her wants and her pursuit of not wanting to be a queen, her reluctancy in becoming the queen is, I think, something that a lot of people can agree with and understand. And so I think those books are really, really good and totally worth a shot, especially if you love high fantasy, elemental, almost kind of scary nature, spirit world building. And I have talked about this book before because I recently read The Deepest Blue, which is also pretty underrated, I think. And that's part of this world, but it's a standalone into this world based on a nearby island. So if you want to try just one book, you can also try that. And I loved that one so much. The next series is a series I actually do have. The Dark of the West is the first book in the Glass Alliance, Glass Alliance series. And this series is young adult, but I think the writing is a step above what you would normally read in young adult. I just think it's very sophisticated. And it is fantasy, but in a sense that this is a different world. However, it is not exactly fantasy in a sense that there's magic. It's a political YA military wartime romance, and there's a pilot and a princess. I think it's done super well. I think the political intrigue was done really well, and I really love it as a person who's not into heavy military fantasy, but I thought this was done in a sense that I could understand it, and I felt really riveted by the war and what was happening. I think all the characters were done super well, and I just loved the story so much. I actually want to do a reread of this very soon. So let me know if you would be interested in rereading or reading it with me. Oh, and the romance in this is a bit of an enemies to lovers to enemies to lovers. They go through phases. That's very understandable, I think. Another YA fantasy. I have this one as well. Where is she? Boom. This is Spin of Fate. The second book to this is actually coming out in November 18th to be exact. I did get an ARC, so I will be reading this as soon as I can, probably starting in September. Spin of Fate is said to be a mix of Avatar and Full Metal, but it's very original in the sense that we come into a super high fantasy world. This is for those who might want to try a young adult version of a very unique and just crazy world building world, because we have special magic and a special world system. In this world, we have kind of 4 layers, and we have people who live in separate realms based on your caste system, and it's based on your karma. You can be born into a low karma or bad karma world even as a child. So it doesn't mean that you necessarily are a bad person. It just means someone along the line was. This obviously creates some tension and unfairness that this book definitely explores. And then as part of the magic system, we have kind of elemental magic. Depending on where you are in those 4 realms is really how much magic you have and how well you can use it. And yeah, that's all I can quite remember off the top of my head, but I do have notes on this so that when I go back to reading the second book, it should be helpful. It is definitely very detailed. There is a whole index in the back, and I don't say this to intimidate you at any sense, but I do think it's a very good book, and I did make a video about this book. I'll link it and rewatch it myself so that I can remember all the specifics. But if you are into kind of anime and kind of the rich kind of world building and magical systems, I think you could give this book a try. We have 3 main teenage characters and 3 perspectives that I think are all done pretty well, and they all come from different places in the caste system, and so you can kind of have a bigger picture of what's going on. And each caste level has an animal, so that's also really fun. The next 2 books I do not have. I think I have it on my Kindle, but alas, who knows where that is right now. I have Letters to the Half Moon Street by Sarah Wallace. This book is a fantasy romance set in an alternative Regency era in London. If you are into Bridgerton, I think you would like this. This first book is written as a set of letters to and from each other, and it is a male and male romance. We find that this world doesn't really have any hesitancy towards LGBTQ community members, which is refreshing, and the magic in this is almost like potions or spellbook type of magic. You can kind of buy things that create magical objects, and that is what I remember. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, it's refreshing, and I think you can get the first book on Kindle for free, which is probably how I have it. I also think it is an independent author, so yay for indie books. And the last book is my only middle grade book. I had to stick this in here because I really want more people to read it. It's called The Spirit Glass by Roshani, and It is a middle grade fantasy based on Filipino mythology. We have a main character who's looking for a key, and she goes on this magical quest, and she has a chameleon little buddy friend that comes with her, I think. And she is a brave young girl going through kind of this ethereal, magical place, and she finds a friend there as well that helps her maneuver through the kind of spirit realm as she tries to get this magical power. I believe there's also a magical house, and there's family matters in this that's being explored, and kind of a sense of self, and a coming of age story. I think it was done very well. I loved the audiobook, which is how I read it, and I just think it's such a good time. I really, really enjoyed this book. I still think of it from time to time. I think I might re-listen to it probably next year, just as like a nice refresher, because it was a good time. It is a bit predictable if you read a lot of stories, but I think it's the type of predictable that fulfills something in you, like, oh, that felt good that I could predict that, instead of, oh, it's so predictable. So yeah, that is my list of underrated fantasy books that I wanted to share. If you have any underrated fantasy books, leave them down below. I know we see a lot of the same books recommended or new books, so I really like kind of looking for hidden gems, especially in the library or things I could find easily, and or shout out books that are underrated that are new. Happy reading, happy snacking, and I'll talk to you guys next time.